to another episode of That's So Bizarre. I'm your host, author, hippie, gypsy pirate, Becky Porchot. And we are here in, is this segment 4? Yes, segment 4 with my guest, Angela DiBuono, who is, as you can tell, a Lady Gaga impersonator. So she has been telling us some crazy ghost stories, all real things that have happened to her. So she is here and she's going to tell us yet another wonderful story. All right, go for it.
Okay, well,
look at
I'm
this.
so bizarre.
Love it. Thank you. All right.
So we left off where my friend Trish, the medium, who had purchased my former home, decided to have a mediumship, which, like I said before, is a seance to me.
Yeah.
And what had happened was that we had about 5 people together at somebody's house, and she started to channel, whoever was at the house, she would try to, meditate and then channel people from beyond who would pertain to who was under that roof. Right. Well, it's so funny because every single time she would pick someone, like, let's say you were there. Right. She would say, okay, does your uncle or does your father have this or that, whatever? And she'd be like, okay, Angela, your mother's here again. And I'm like, because she would constantly tell me, because we became really good friends, that anytime she would get a spiritual connection with another spirit, my mother would literally like push that spirit aside and say, yes.
And that fit her personality.
Yeah. Like, get out of my way. Right. I need to talk to my daughter, so to speak, or let her know I'm here. And she's like, okay, Angela, your mom's here again. And then she's like, talking to my mom saying, okay, but can I finish this particular person's stuff? So, I mean, the whole night, it kept happening. The whole night.
Oh, my gosh.
She would go from the other 4 that were sitting there, because I was the 5th, and it kept happening. And then when she got to me, once again, she would just start talking about stuff about my mom, and she actually described her look. Her, she's like, you look like your mom. Not as much, because I do look like my dad, she says, but ever since you've done your hair blonde, she's like, your mom was a blonde, right? And I said, yeah. And you have your mother's eyes, but not necessarily the color, maybe the shape. But she was just saying a whole bunch of things about my mom. And then she decided that we were going to learn about our auras, which is really funny. If anybody out there is a Lady Gaga diehard fan and knows the Art Pop CD, Aura is a song that's on that CD. And it's about, your aura.
Right.
And ironically, she put us up against a door, and she had if I was standing by the door, everybody was focusing on one specific thing, and literally the aura glow just appeared.
Cool.
And when it was someone else's turn and I took a seat, and they're like, okay, and I'm like, I'm not seeing it. She's like, you're trying too hard.
Right.
Relax, calm down. And then she says, just look. And literally I saw all the other people's auras in different colors, and each color means something.
Right.
I think my aura was pink, if I'm not mistaken, which by coincidence was the color that my mother wore when she was buried.
Oh.
And at her gravesite in New Jersey one year, my kids, it was the first time I brought my children to the cemetery. Literally, there was 2 pink marbles at the bottom of the mausoleum wall. And they were pale pink, like the aura they saw on me, like the colored dress that she was buried in. And I picked up the 2 marbles. Now, what are the chances that there's 2 marbles? Right. And my kids are like, it's a gift from grandma, from heaven. Yeah. And I'm like, it would be like my mom to say I lost my marbles. Because she, had that personality. So in the meantime, back to the mediumship, she started talking about an uncle of mine who passed away. It was my mother's sister's husband, my Uncle Paul. And she started explaining stuff about him. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I feel like people were touching me like this.
Wow.
Yeah. My entire body was tingling with like light finger. Sorry if I'm.
Oh, that's okay.
touching you. Lady Gaga's touching her. Yeah. But seriously, it was like 2 hours.
Wow.
The touch would not go away, and there were people that were sitting there that actually saw silhouettes and spirits and people's faces. There were people that were hearing things, noises, voices, sounds. For me, the touch, I was being touched literally from head to toe. It was driving me insane. And I kept saying to her, is this going to go away? Is this going to go away? Because I just never experienced anything like that in my life. Wow. It was kind of a bit erotic in a sense.
Yeah, all over.
But scary. All over, but scary
Yeah.
because who's touching me? Who in the spirit world is touching me? And that was freaking me out to no end. And we ended the session, and then we went outside, and everybody was just having drinks and some food and everything. And then my mother kept coming through, and she just kept saying, "Your mom's here again," And it was, and so I'm wondering, like, was it her touching me? Was spirits that knew me? Was it spirits that were from the other people part of this mediumship?
So I have a question.
I have no idea. It was that by far, with the laugh that I've heard in the previous recording that we spoke of, to have to be touched like that, that was the most wickedest thing. And for 2 straight hours, and I literally was like, oh my God, enough. Stop touching me. I literally was stop touching me. You need to stop touching me.
So not, like I was saying, not most people, everybody, I'd say, like I was saying in a previous episode, 1 out of 10 people has had some kind of freaky experience, right? With ghosts or whatever. You've had a lot.
And that's not even all of them. These are just the most, I think, interesting experience that I've had.
So do you think that some people, like, it's just like a genetic thing almost, just like some people are good at sports, that some people are just more tuned in?
Well, this particular medium told me that I have the third eye, meaning that she said actually anyone on this planet could communicate with the dead, but you either are open to it or you're not. And obviously I'm open to it. And she says that my son is open to it. She sees it in him, that he's got the third eye. He's had experiences as well. But she says if you don't know how to channel it and control it, it could literally bring you something bad, and or just you can't shut it off. And that's when I learned from what happened to me after my mom passed away, and I was begging her to come to me, and that evil laugh spirit came to me. I knew from that point on never ever to call on another spirit, and she validated that for me. I mean, I already knew at that point, don't do that again, but she literally validated that for me and said, that's it.
Like, I think for me, if I did that, probably, nothing would happen, but I think for some people it sounds like you're really open.
I'm very open, but she also said that if you can't control it, it'll literally drive you mad.
Like insane.
So she does a ton of meditation. She has books. She's really educated with it. She's gone to seminars and stuff. And my Sunburst family, who is where I started my Lady Gaga impersonation business, they have an array of talented performers who imitate other people. And Jackie Taylor is the wife of the Bret Michaels impersonator. His name is Shannon Michaels. And they have had paranormal experiences. Apparently, her and I were discussing this before I came on the webcast. And they've actually had investigations and everything. So I'm not the only one out there.
No.
So
no. And I think
I'd like to pick Lady Gaga's brain to see if she's ever had an experience or two, because we're both Aries. We're both Catholic schoolgirls. We both come from the same upbringing. Actually, her parents and my parents have the same coloring, and just lots of really, like, you know, there's like something to be said about having a soul mate, soul sister, soul brother, soul friend. Right. And, you know, I often wonder if she's like my soul sister. They always say you have a twin somewhere in the world. And I've been told I look like a lot of people in my day, but not like Lady Gaga. So I would be like really pumped if I ever met her and sat with her, and it would be I would think it would be a really interesting conversation.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Definitely.
For sure.
Well, thank you so much,
thank
Angela.
you so much for having me on this show. This is so awesome.
This is so fun.
I'm happy that you liked my story.
Oh my gosh. I hope you guys did.
I hope the audience liked them as well.
They did.
I hope I didn't freak anybody out or scare anybody, you know.
Angela is awesome, and I am so grateful for her for coming on the show today.
I'm so grateful for you having me as well.
Thank you. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget, don't stop believing.
Don't stop believing.